Hey everyone, welcome to episode 20. Episode 20 of 1 Foot of Books. My name's Shard. It's been a couple of weeks since I uploaded. Yes, I know. You kind of start hot and heavy, and you just kind of mellow out and plateau, don't you? That's the same thing with any kind of creative or life pursuit. It's hard work. Gotta stick with things. Yeah, had a cold the last couple of weeks. I've still got a little bit of phlegm, so please excuse me if I make some disgusting noises. You know, like the ones your parents used to make when you were a kid, and you were always like, I'm not making those noises like a grown up. Guess what? You do. You do. Alright, episode 20. I think there might be a couple of books in here that I've already explored, but they're probably like a different version, a different pub. But, yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, 30 centimeters, 1 foot of books. Episode 20. Let's do it, eh? It's a beautiful late winter's morning here in the Blue Mountains of Australia. Pretty much early spring. There's already flowers out. It's crazy. Climate change. World's changing, man. It's always changing. I got a lot more birds around, and I even had a baby magpie come to the balcony this morning, singing its songs, which was very cute. And I'm sure I've seen some baby sulfur-crested cockatoos around, but it's so hard to tell. I don't know what they look like when they're babies, and when they're flying around, they just look like a sulfur-crested cockatoo. Yeah. All right, let's start. At the top here, The Morning of the Magicians. Louis Pauwels and Jacques Bergier. I'm sure I've gone through I've got an old paperback version of this too, but I got this from New Dawn magazine when I was writing book reviews for them years ago, and I had a battered old paperback copy that I got from them too, and then they sent me this one, which was a new version. It's not even version, a new imprint. It's not even that word. Anyway, that's from 2009, originally published in 1960. This is the granddaddy of them all. You think about Chariot of the Gods to Graham Hancock to Randall Carlson and stuff like that. It all started pretty much here. This is the big bad baby boy that started it all. It explores secret societies, conspiracies, and vanished civilizations, and it was pretty much one of the first books to do it on that kind of popular level. And you read it, and it's got the format that Chariots of the Gods did, all that kind of just like short chapters, specific subjects, and just exploring stuff. A very cool book. If you haven't read it and you dig all that stuff, do hunt out a copy and read it. It's really cool. So it's got things like where the masterminds behind the great civilizations of South and Central America from Mars, what connects the ancient art of alchemy and modern atomic physics, was Hitler, during his mystical trances, in touch with the unknown master? And does extrasensory perception reveal that human consciousness has advanced beyond its current accepted limits? So I would say, yes, there's probably a bit of dated stuff in here now, but it's still a really good read. Translated from French. It's worth it for the exploration of the Nazi occult history, if anything. It's worth buying and reading for the chapter on that. Fascinating, what the Nazi occult stuff, what they were doing, what they believed. Like, it's kind of, it hasn't been hushed hush, but it's not really talked about. And the chapter on it in here is absolutely fascinating. The Thule Society and the idea of fire and ice, and yeah, very cool book, very worthwhile a read if you can get a secondhand copy, or even if you buy it brand new. I would recommend you buy it brand new if you see it brand new. I've never seen it at an op shop. Not this copy, not my old version. I've never seen the book at an op shop. If I have, I would have bought it and given it to someone. But the secondhand copies out there online. Do read it if you like that kind of stuff. Another present from New Dawn back in the day. This is one of my favorite books, actually. I've read it through 1.5 times. It's by James Wasserman. It's called Templars and the Assassins, the Militia of Heaven. If you want a one-stop veritable shop of the history of the Templar and the Assassin, the Hashashin orders, this bad boy is the way to go. It's not that long. It's only a few hundred pages. It's written by Wasserman, who is a long time occult and you know, hidden knowledge kind of subject writer, and I think he's a Freemason and stuff like this, and maybe a Crowleyite, I'm not too sure. Oh yeah, he's a 25-year member of the Ordo Templi Orientis, so there you go, and lives in New York. A very cool book, charts the history of the said Templars and the Assassins to the, like, very, like, combing through the dust and finding and exploring the inner workings of them as secret societies as well, which is absolutely fascinating. I read it through once, and then I read it to my baby daughter when she was like months old. I read parts of it to her. Yeah, it's a very fascinating book, and it's even got a great chapter at the end. Where is it? Anyway, it's got like a guide on how to start a secret society, and so yeah, it's a really cool book. The 9 Degrees of Wisdom, that kind of thing. The Path of the Mysteries. Yeah, if you want the kind of history of the Templars and the Hashashin from that kind of very plainly secret society kind of point of view, without the kind of dry kind of history stuff, like it's still, you know, pretty dry. It was in the desert, but very cool for that kind of, like, you know, yeah, like I say, it's a secret society point of view way of looking at it. Templars and the Assassins, the Militia of Heaven. Great book. Fantastic. John Lofty Wiseman, the SAS Survival Handbook. You see this around in op shops. It's pretty consistent. It gets updated every few years, but almost any version is worth it. These are great books to, like, keep in your bathroom, where you know, if you've got a little stack of books or a container of books or a little shelf of books in your toilet, this should be one of them. Just one of the things you just grab when you're sitting down, and everything in it is interesting. It teaches you so much stuff, just like traps, edible mushrooms, how to identify animals by their tracks, what to do with bites, how to make stuff, knots, beds in the wild, how to cook stuff. Amazing books, man. Really cool to read. Just pick up, and like, you can hunt through stuff for specific stuff, or just turn into a page and just learn. So much knowledge in these books. Very cool, very cool. Like I say, almost any edition is worth it. You'll see, I see them all the time at like Vinnie's and Salvo's and stuff like that. So if you don't have it, pick yourself up a copy. You won't be sorry. They're really cool books. I got this from Salvo's in Marrickville. Karl Marx, Capital. This is a Great Books of the Western World edition from, when was this published? 1952 by Encyclopedia Britannica and the University of Chicago. This is a copy of, It's got Capital by Karl Marx and the Manifesto of the Communist Party by Marx and Engels. I've tried reading it a little bit. Capital's a hard read. Dudes and dudettes and duderinos. Yeah, it's very important. It's an important read. I can't remember how far I got into it. It's been ages since I picked it up. Probably needs a bit of a clean. I think it's got some kind of gunk on it. Some old library sticker residue. Yeah, I'm just glad I have a copy. Karl Marx, Capital, and the Communist Manifesto, and a nice, kind of cheapish, but still like 60, 70-year-old Britannica edition, which is still in not bad condition. Haven't read it. Have you read Capital by Karl Marx? If you have, let me know. What was it like? I've dipped in and out of it, but that was years ago, and I've never picked it up again. It's very, very dry. Very dry. From the Vinnies in Hunter's Hill. H.G. Wells, The War of the Worlds and the Time Machine. This is I think it's a 1970s edition. When is this from? 1983. I just got it because I've always liked War of the Worlds. I especially like the Alan Moore version in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That was really cool. I remember watching the 50s version when I was a kid, and it freaked me out. It was like one of those Friday night horror sci-fi movies. And yeah, scared me, man, for a 1950s movie. It was really cool. Like, kind of kickstarted my love affair of, like, you know, alien invasions and zombie movies and stuff like that. The Time Machine, I've never read it, but I have seen a couple of different versions of it in the movies. Like that Guy Pearce one that was kind of pointless. And there was another one back in the 70s. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, it's still got, someone put a plastic cover on it. So I don't know when. And it's still hanging in there. So thanks for that, whoever owned this last. Yeah, cool. Good old H.G. Wells. Douglas Copeland. Oh, dust. Sorry. Ugh, gross. Douglas Copeland, Life After God. I have read a few of Douglas Copeland's books. Girlfriend in a Coma, that was pretty good. Generation X, of course, that's, you know, it's a classic these days. I've never read this one, though. I'm sure I've read another couple of his books. What is this one? What happens if we are raised without religion or beliefs? We are all living creatures with strong religious impulses. Yet where do these impulses flow in a world of malls and TV, craft dinners and jets? How do we cope with loneliness, anxiety, the collapse of relationships? How do we reach the quiet, safe layer of our lives? In this compellingly innovative collection of stories, international best-selling author Douglas Copeland responds to these themes, cutting through the hype of modern living to find a rare grace amid our 20th century lives. He uncovers a new kind of truth for a culture stuck on fast forward, a culture seemingly beyond God. There you go. When's this from? And where did I get this? Vinnie's. $3. I overpaid for this. $3 for a book this size? Come on, man. When is this from? 1994. So yeah, this is like a 30-year-old book now. I haven't read this one. I should, though. I myself was brought up without religion or beliefs, and I don't know. Looking back on it, I don't think it gave me any significant or distinct advantages or disadvantages. But yeah, should read that. Maybe that's something we can explore in a further video, like being raised without religion. I mean, I know that religious ideas and ideology and stuff has been baked into our Western culture, of course. But, you know, generations raised without that kind of community church thing, I think that might have had an effect on people. I remember the few times I did go to church. I went to church for like funerals and weddings, but I also went to Sunday school for a little while, and mainly because my friends down the road went, and I was just like, I want to go too. And my parents were like, yeah, whatever, and they took me, and it was weird. It was weird. Anyway, we'll explore that in another video. I got this from the Salvos in Tempe, the Tempe tip. Philip K. Dick, The Eye of the Sybil, and other classic short stories. Gotta love the Dick short stories. Excuse me. Yeah, what's in this one? The exit door leads in. Ooh, trippy. Your appointment will be yesterday. A game of unchance. Yeah, there's like, it's like there's almost probably like 20 short stories in here. This is a 1992 edition. First came out in 1987. I've got a few of his short story collections. I have read some of these, but it's been a long time. And if you are a dickhead, you know that if you start reading a bunch of his short stories one after the other, they all kind of, like, not a negative thing, but they just kind of bleed together. And it's like, was that a story or is that a fever dream I had once? Yeah. If you are not a dickhead, I implore you to become one, especially if you like sci-fi and if you haven't explored Philip K. Dick's short stories. They are fantastic. Even like infinitely more readable than his novels. His short stories are great. They range from 5 to 50 pages, if that. And not all of them are great, but all of them have great ideas. And yeah. Any collection. There was a bunch done by, who was it? Grafton Books, that did a whole series of his short stories in collected forms. One I've got is Second Variety, for example, but they did a whole series. Very worth it. Probably can find them secondhand online. I have rarely seen Philip K. Dick stuff in secondhand shops. If it does come in, it tends to either be a big collection that someone's gone through a religious experience and they're giving them all away, or you see one or two little weird ones, usually like the Ganymede one or something like that. And but yeah, if you do see any Philip K. Dick, dude, buy it and sell it if you don't see it, because someone will buy it, man. Yeah. The Idler, War on Work. This is The Idler, issue 35. I think this is the first version I got, spring 2005. So I got this at Kinokuniya, I believe. Or I got turned onto the website somehow and I subscribed for a couple of years, and you get these awesome magazine book type things, and full of photos and stories, and very 2005. And this one was all about the war on work. And I was very much into like the idol culture back in the early 2000s. Before all this cool, quiet quitting and shit. In fact, I gave up on life way before this generation and their quiet quitting. Get in line, dudes. This is a cool Idler. I think it's still around in some form. I think the website's still going, but these magazines, I think, are long out of print. But they're very cool, very funny, very thought-provoking. Yeah. If you do find any secondhand, buy them. Give them a read. They're well worth it. I've got about 4 copies of different Idlers idling around. Expensive though. I think it cost me like $150 for like 1 year subscription back in 2005 or 6. Wow, I was a rich man back then. Can't afford that now. The Art of Loving, Erich Fromm. I do like a bit of Erich Fromm, pop psychologist. Started in the 50s, right through the 60s and 70s. I read this a while ago. I don't think it really improved my understanding of love. I'd have to read it again, maybe. A stimulating and thoughtful look at the theory and practice of love. Yes, because my idea of love has changed a lot since I've read this, and especially since starting therapy and learning about things like emotional deprivation and stuff like that. It's just like, okay, well, what is love? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Yeah, what is love? I don't know what love is. Do you know what love is? I mean, Doug Stanhope said it best. He's like, I love grandma. I love pancakes. I love you. What does love even mean? I know it means something. It means something different to everybody. That's the problem. I'll have to read through this again. I got this at the Salvos up at Marrickville way ages ago. I read this in maybe 2011. So, yeah, a long time ago. Leo Tolstoy, In Defense of Marxism. Where did I get this from? I don't even know. Never read it. Published 1971. Tolstoy, of course, got stabbed in the head with an ice pick and died. That was after he wrote stuff like Defense of Marxism and started his own kind of political ideology. Yeah, so not Tolstoy, Trotsky. Come on, man. Yeah, I haven't read it, and I don't know if I ever will. But it looks good on the shelf, doesn't it? I don't even know where I got that from. Could have been from my friend's dead uncle's collection, or I could have just picked it up in a second-hand shop, or even the Anarchist bookshop, maybe. I don't know. Alain de Botton, Status Anxiety. I did enjoy this book. I do like Alain de Botton's stuff. Pop philosophy. It's been a while since I read this. But I like him. I like his writing style. I like what he writes about. I like how he writes about it. If you're a de Botton fan, let me know. Send me a little message. What's your favorite de Botton book? He did a very good podcast with Tim Ferriss ages ago. I still listen to it every once in a while. It was a fantastic podcast. He jumped on the Tim Ferriss show, and I think it was a couple of hours long, if that. And amazing. If you haven't read any of his books, or if you have read his books and you want a little bit more, look up that podcast. It's fantastic. Status Anxiety, all about worry, and just worrying and comparing yourself to other people and your status in life. And it's very sad and disheartening, but how lost we've become and how society is leading us down these paths just so they can sell us more crap. And that's capitalism, and that's mass media consumption and stuff like that. That's just the way the world runs, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah, de Botton's, all of his books are worth a read if you're into the pop philosophy stuff. And if you're not a de Botton fan, tell me why. I want to hear why. I know I've got a couple of people who poo-poo him, and it's like, I'm so, well, why? He's an intelligent writer, and he writes passionately about this kind of stuff. Condensed Chaos. I think I got this. No, I did get this secondhand from the Salvos in Marrickville. Every once in a while, I'm talking every few years, some cool stuff pops up at your local secondhand or thrift store. And this was one of them. An Introduction to Chaos Magic. A friend of mine had a copy of this years ago, and I read it then, and I really liked it. And I borrowed it from him from time to time. I got into making sigils and a bit of chaos magic and stuff like that. But I left it behind. And then I found this in the Salvos, and I was just like, dude, hell yeah, for $1. And Phil Hine, great kind of writer about chaos magic. Came up in the 70s and 80s when all that stuff was starting in the UK. And yeah, if you find any Phil Hine books or Peter Carroll books, who did the forward to this, and you like the idea of chaos magic, check them out. Chaos magic's awesome. It's so much fun. It's it's hard to describe. It's been so long since I've done any reading or even thinking about chaos magic. But I enjoyed delving into it back in the day when I did. There is a bookmark in here too from tickets.com. When's this from? Friday, 25th of March, 2005, 8 p.m. 9 Inch Nails with special guests at the UC Davis Freeborn Hall. No cans, bottles, alcohol, backpacks. $30 to go and see 9 Inch Nails back in 2005 in America by the looks. Somewhere. Yeah. Someone left that in there. Cool bookmark. Great book. Condensed Chaos. A fantastic introduction into chaos magic. Last book, episode 20. Charlie Charlton Brooker. I Can Make You Hate. Charlie Brooker is, of course, a household name now because of a little show he does called Black Mirror. Unbeknownst to me, I fell in love with Charlie Brooker's work back in the 1980s. He was a young dude, and I was a little bit younger, and he was doing comic strips in a comic book that I bought called Oink, which was a pig-based comic book that came out of the UK. And it was disgusting and funny and filled with like pus and pimples and gross stuff. And he did some strips in it, and I was just like, eh. I didn't know that at the time. He also did some strips in a couple of video game magazines that I and my brother got when we were kids in the 90s. So I've been following the work of Charlie Brooker basically since he started. And then he was doing stuff in the 90s. He did that TV guide thing that passed me by because it was kind of on the internet. I wasn't on the internet at that time, or at least not on that website. And then he started doing his own TV shows and columns in The Guardian and stuff like that. And I got onto his TV shows and I was just like, this dude is great. Screen wipe and stuff like that. And then he started doing Black Mirror. And it was just like, wow, the world exploded around him. And he is where he is now. This is a great collection of some of his essays and columns from The Guardian. From, when is this from? 2012. He's got a few of these kind of books around because he's written so much. He just puts them into collections every once in a while. Includes Words and Punctuation. Does not contain Free Weight Loss, Self-Esteem, and Instant Happiness CDs. I Can Make You Hate. Yeah, this is a great little book. Again, like the SAS survival book, just filled with easily digestible, funny little columns from his newspaper work mainly. And something you can just pick up and read, have a chuckle, put it down, go about your day. I got this for $1 at the Salvos in Hunters Hill when I was working up that way. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, Charlie Brooker. I haven't got any of his books. And I got this one, and I like it. And it's I like having it on the shelf. And if you got any other Charlie Brooker books, let me know which ones you've got. And if you like his Black Mirror stuff. And his screen wipe and his how TV changed your life and how video games changed your life. There's also he's got quite the back catalogue. Does Charlton Brooker? That's it for episode 20 of 1 Foot of Books. I made it to 20. I'm going to look at other subjects to do now. So I'll come back to this, but in terms of like one video after another, I want to start exploring some different ideas. I don't know exactly what I want to do. Maybe I'll go on some bushwalks or something around here, or chuck the phone on the motorbike and do some recording, or just do some walk and talks or something and come up with some specific subjects. Maybe talk about therapy or meditation or music, guitar. Or I could do some album reviews, movie reviews. You know, I'm a 21st century maven, man. I'm just absorbing all this stuff and it just goes in and just makes me fat and I get it out. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in to this current iteration of One Foot of Books. It will be back. Thanks for making it to episode 20. Thanks for watching all 20 if you have. If you haven't, they're back there. If you like them, that's okay. If you didn't and you'd already clicked off, that's cool, man. I can't compete. There's like 700,000 hours of YouTube uploaded every day. Every day, 700,000 hours. Is that longer than I'm alive? I don't know. Maybe. How long is 700,000 hours? It's kind of a terrifying thought, isn't it? It's uploaded every day. 700,000 hours of recorded human experience uploaded to the internet cloud every day via YouTube. Scary. All right. I'll be back in a week or two with a new subject and looking at something different. I don't know. One Foot of Books, done for now, but it will be back. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. I'll see you again really soon. Thanks for watching, and much love to you all, and I'll see you again soon.